Hey, this is Jules, and I'm your host of The Jules J Show. Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to The Jules J Show. I'm your host, Jules. I want to definitely give a big shout out to my family, the Track Cats. Check us out at trackcats.com and you'll see what everybody has going on. Black will be here at the end of this month to record his new single. I'm not going to give you any details because I want to make sure that you guys are the first to know what's going on when it happens. So let's go ahead and get into the news of what's going on in the world. You know, I like to see different stories and what's going on. So this one kind of caught my eye. There was a young lady in China who answered her cell phone, which was an iPhone. It was plugged up through an iPhone charger, and she actually was killed by an electric shock, which is kind of crazy because how many of us actually have the phone on the charger and we're still talking, we answer it, whatever the case may be? Well, doctors who attended to her said that it was because of an electrical shock. And the thing is that it takes about 35 volts for a person to feel an electronic shock, and typically your mobile phone device will output about 3 to 5 volts. However, if there's a break in the circuit or faulty components, it can create a shock of 220 volts. That's crazy. I know so many people who talk on the phone, including myself, when it's plugged up, things like that. So definitely make sure that your device is up to par. Apple said that they're going to be investigating all their equipment and they're working with the authorities just to make sure that everything goes through. But we definitely want to send our condolences out to the young lady that was killed in China by electrical shock with her iPhone. Y'all watch out for that. This next story kind of caught my eye. I have a son. He's not in the Boy Scouts, but obese Boy Scouts are banned from a jamboree. Crazy to me. Crazy. Because how are you going to ban individuals because they don't meet a weight requirement? I thought Boy Scouts were supposed to do things like uplift people, teach them living skills, survival skills, being able to, have like a brotherhood, things of that nature. Boy Scouts of America organization said that they published their height and weight requirements years ago, preparing for this first annual event. And this is supposed to be 10 days of hiking, camping, BMXing, other rigorous activities. So if you didn't meet the height and weight requirement, they wouldn't even allow you to register for this event. They said scouts with a body mass index of 40 or higher were not eligible to attend the gathering. The average weight for a 12-year-old is 90 pounds, but an obese 12-year-old is typically 130 pounds. What throws me off about this entire story is if you are Boy Scouts of America and you are trying to promote these boys to, live healthy, be positive individuals, why wouldn't you create a section of this 10-day jamboree that gets in tune to healthy living, activities, kind of help them get on a plan or a program that the next time the jamboree comes around, that they'll be able to do all the physical activities. And it's not a matter of segregating or making these, obese individuals feel less than. No, it's creating an environment that is educational. Give them some physical activities that they're still able to participate in, and also make them feel good about being themselves and a Boy Scout. I think, just when I seen that and said they wasn't allowed to participate just because of their weight, then that makes basically, in my eyes, this is just strictly my opinion, once again, this is Jules' opinion, is that you're basically saying, hey, the boys that are obese are not good enough to participate with the boys that are not obese. And I understand that, a lot of it falls on, family and parents and making sure that they have a good diet and, working out and things like that. But if a boy is part of Boy Scouts of America, then they should have those type of opportunities and workshops and things like that for the individuals that are obese to kind of lose some weight. So I feel like that the Boy Scouts of America, they could have done something for the individuals that are obese, especially since not too long ago, they the AMA, the American Medical Association stated that obesity was now a disease. So I think that they could do something the next time the Jamboree comes around. They could do something a whole lot better to assist the individuals that are a little bit heavier. Once again, that's Jules J's opinion. So this next thing that caught my eye is really alarming because I can identify with a lot of people in this situation. It's called the alarming state of single parenthood. And when I throw out these statistics and I throw out this information, I'm pretty sure that you're going to be shocked just as I was shocked. But this is the reality that we live in. And unless we start changing some of the economic issues that we're having, some of the educational issues, things of that nature, these statistics are just gonna rise. So let me throw some stuff out to you, and you tell me what you feel. You can reach me on Twitter, Facebook, things like that, trackcast.com, whatever the case may be. But here's some quick facts about single parents. 4 out of 10 children are born to unwed women. 45% are divorced, separated, or widowed. 50% of these individuals or unwed women have 1 child. 30% have 2 children, and 20% have 2 or more kids. These are single parent households. Single parent, which means if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kids, you have one person handling all those responsibilities. And it can actually weigh somebody down. It can stress them out, all type of things. There are, and these are numbers for between 2011 and 2012. In 2011, there were approximately 10 million single mothers. These are just people that reported coming from a single parent household. There's no telling how many people did not report. And it increased 3% into 2012. Now it's 10.3 million single female households. Single fathers, 1.7, and it increased 11% to 1.9. I have to give kudos because a lot of men have been given a bad label or things like that, and acting or society saying, hey, men are not stepping up to handle their responsibilities and things like that. And I'm seeing it more and more often where the single parent household is headed by a father or a male. So definitely kudos to them, because at the end of the day, I can commend anybody, man or woman, that steps up, takes responsibility for their children, and handles the business accordingly. So that is, in 2012, 84% of single parent households were women. That's very, 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 very alarming. 75% of single mothers are employed. So even with that being said, over 50% of single mothers make less than $25,000 a year. I don't know who can live off of $25,000 a year, because once you factor in whether it's your rent, your mortgage, transportation, food, costs for education, things like that, where the $25,000 is not enough for anybody. And 60% of the single mother households, those women work full time. So it's not like they're not doing anything with their time. It's not like they're not out here trying to better themselves or their kids' selves. They're working. They're trying to be productive individuals. It's just really hard with the way that the economy is. Now, for individuals that get child support, I applaud you. I wish I knew what child support was. But the average income for child support is $300. That's average. And understand depending on your state and things like that, child support is based off an individual's income as well as how many other kids that they have to take care of, and if those other individuals have filed child support against the father or the mother. 1 in every 3 single families receive child support. It's completely skipped over my house, but that's okay. If you can obtain that support for the child, then do so. But understand that the support is for the child. It's not for the mom or the dad to go get their hair done, the barbershop, nails, buy clothes for themselves or things of that nature. The support is for the child, whether it's back to school supplies, whether it's, sport fees or sporting equipment or things of that nature. Make sure if you receive child support that you're benefiting the kid that's involved. It's not to benefit the adult in the situation and let the adult have a good time. That's not what child support is about. And I hope that, you're not one that's abusing that type of support. The cost of raising a child, especially for single parents, this impacts us greatly. The average cost of raising a child from birth to 18 years is $227,000. That's the average cost. So if you're only making $25,000 a year, and the average cost to raise a child until they're 18 and considered an adult is $227,000, that is a huge disparity right there. That makes a huge, huge, huge impact on individuals, especially if they have more than one kid, and those costs are just mounting on top of each other. So it can be really, really, really quite a load on an individual. Out of that total amount that it costs to raise a child, 30% of that is housing the kid, making sure that they have, a roof over their head, that they have lights, that they have hot water, things like that. This is a crazy number, but 28% of that is health care. Making sure that child's health care, whether it's dental, eye, medical, is covered. 28%. That is crazy to me, that healthcare can cost that freaking much. But I see it every day. The next one, 18%, will be childcare and education. I can totally get this, because childcare, if you don't own a child daycare or something like that, you're in the wrong business, because those people or those owners are making money. We're always going to need somebody to watch over our children. We're always going to need to make sure that while we're out working, they are in a safe environment, after school care, things of that nature. I've known people that have paid over $1,000 a month for child care. So that is a huge, huge, huge chunk. 16% is food. If you have anything like my son, he will eat you completely out of house and a home. So and food cost is ridiculous. And if you notice, food cost is constantly going up, and up. So once again, I've said this in the show before, make sure you use coupons. Make sure you catch sales and things of that nature, because the cost of raising a child is really, 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 really expensive. And understand that most kids don't understand Nike and Reebok and all those name brands and True Religion and things like that. That comes from the parents. No, don't get me wrong. The parents should not be dressing all in name brand and the kids do not. It's an equal balance. But understand, kids get their lifestyle, ways, and values from the adult that's in the household. So basically, you have to be mindful. If you're sitting here complaining about how much money your child costs to clothe them and feed them and things like that, look at the source. My child loves shrimp. There's nothing wrong with that, but he doesn't eat shrimp every day. He loves lobster, but he doesn't eat lobster every day. There's a balance there. So we have to definitely keep that in perspective. And one of the most alarming numbers that I read, or statistics, the poverty rate in 2011 was 40%. The definition of poverty for a single family with one child is $15,000. That's poverty right there with one child. So for $15,000, you got to figure out how you're going to have a roof over your head, bills, clothe each other, transportation, education, and food for $15,000. And 40% of the single parent homes is living in poverty. 40%. So we definitely have to kind of make sure that we are looking at our surroundings, our friends, our families. And if we can take the time out to help somebody, then that's what we need to do, because that's our job as, individuals, to make sure we lend out a hand to the next person that is less fortunate. So with that being said, definitely want to make sure that you guys pay attention to those statistics, pay attention to what's going on, pay attention to, sales and things like that, because it's hard out here for single parents, whether you're a man or a woman. So we definitely want to make sure that if we can provide, lend a helping hand, do a community event, things like that, give it to neighbor. So stay tuned. We're going to a break and we'll be right back with some more information for you. everyone. I hope you enjoyed the break. Welcome back. I'm your host, Jules, of the Jules J Show. Now, let's get into some serious information that I wanted to share with you. So I made a post the other day on my Facebook page, and it said, or the question was, for individuals that have committed a non-violent crime, should we have a law in place that will basically wipe their slate clean? And the reason why I say this is because so many individuals have non-violent felonies but can't get a job anywhere. They can't get steady income, a legit income. They can't provide for their family. They can't do anything. Matter of fact, most of the time, if you're a felon, you can't even get financial aid to go back to school to better yourself. So the question was, like I said, if you have an individual that has a non-violent felony, why can't they get that, taken off their record? Just like with the driving record. If you have a moving violation, typically after 3 years, it completely falls off. And typically it's an automatic thing. Like, I've had moving violations, quite a few. Can't tell you how many because I'm not going to tell you how many. But after 3 years, they automatically fell off. And of course, your insurance rate drops. So why can't these individuals get a second chance from society? Why can't these individuals get a second chance from the government? Why can't these individuals actually get an opportunity to better themselves, provide for their family, and show people that they learn from their mistake? So as I was kind of, pondering that question, it led me to do a little digging. So I have some information for you regarding individuals. And right now we're just going to focus on drug-related crimes because that seems to be increasing throughout the entire country. Things of that nature with the war against drugs. So basically in our federal prison system, only 8% of the prisoners were sentenced for violent crimes. Only 8% for violent crimes. And compare that to 48% were in prison for drug crimes. Whether it's trafficking, whether you're over a certain amount, things of that nature, 48% is in there for drug-related crimes. Not murder, not rape, not any type of child pornography or being a pedophile, but drug-related crimes. And if you think about it, a lot of times when you hear these stories about, individuals getting caught up in the drug game and selling drugs, is to provide for their family because either one, they don't have the education, they don't have the necessary tools that they need to get out there in the work environment. They don't know how to apply for a job or go in for an interview. They don't have the clothes for that. All they know is a generational issue, which is selling drugs. A lot of times they've grown up in the streets or in the environment and they see other people do it, and their single parent household is working 2 and 3 jobs to provide instead of, feeling like doing stuff the right way is the way to go. They see that quick, fast money, so that's what they lean towards. They get caught up in the system. 48% of individuals in the federal prison system is drug-related crimes. That's completely ridiculous. For 48% of those people to be eventually released into the society and not be able to get a job. So what do you think is going to happen? Of course we're going to have unemployment. Of course we're going to have crimes. Of course they're going to be repeat offenders because that's the only way that they know how to get money to provide. So, and it was crazy because somebody reached out to me and said, hey, you need to start a petition. You need to be the voice of the people so we can get this law changed. I was like, hey, that's a big task for somebody to do. But it got me to thinking something needs to be done because I'm not sure if people really are aware of, the statistics behind it. I'm pretty sure they understand that there's a lot of people in the prison system, but I'm not sure if they really understand the breakdown. I thought there was more violent offenders in the federal penitentiary than what the statistics show. 8% violent offenders, that's crazy. And if you think about it, a lot of times that people get these drug charges, they have mandatory sentences. I've known people that have been incarcerated longer for a drug sentence than they have a rape charge, an armed robbery charge. I've seen some people that have been sitting longer in the prison system versus individuals that have killed somebody. It's crazy where you place the value of of a drug charge more highly than what you do of somebody that has taken a life. So, and the reason why they said that the increase in inmates for drug-related crimes is because of the war on drugs. We get that. We understand that. It is a war on drugs, and they're coming from all angles. But at the same token, if somebody has been to prison, has paid their dues to society, and wants to better themselves, us as a society needs to give them that opportunity. And another thing is, the other factor was 17% of inmates were based off of immigration status. They're not even U.S. citizens, but our tax dollars are paying for these people. No, send them back to their country unless they have killed an American citizen. Send them back to their country and let their government take care of them. Not the United States. But once again, that's just my personal opinion. As you can see, I'm a little passionate about that. But hey, that's just how I feel. So let me go ahead and kind of give you some numbers based off of our justice system. And this is by the end of 2011, 492 out of every 100,000 U.S. citizens were sentenced to 1 year or more. That's a huge number. And I understand that jail and the prison system is a business, but understand that people want to get out and make a business. They want to go work at a business. So while you're sitting there getting money off of them while they're in there, because that's your business, you need to give them an opportunity to make a business for themselves that's productive and positive once they're released. But give them the tools. If our tax dollars are spending all this money on them while they're in there, give them an opportunity. And that's something that needs to be given to anybody, or you know, as long as they meet certain criteria, give them the opportunity. So at the end of 2010, based off of individuals that have had a drug sentence, 237,000 individuals under state jurisdiction. That's the states, not federal, but states. 237,000. That's the estimate. That is just absolutely ridiculous. For federal jurisdiction, for individuals that are in a federal penitentiary, at the end of 2010, 99,300. That's an astronomical number. Absolutely astronomical. That people, that many people are in there for that situation. For sentenced prisoners admitted to the state or federal jurisdiction at the end of 2011, for total state, federal, things of that nature, individuals being admitted into the system overall was 668,800 individuals in 1 year across the United States. That's in 1 year. That is bigger than some cities, towns, whatever the case may be. And a lot of people sit there and say, oh, you know, it starts at the youth. They're starting young, middle school, high school, they're unruly, things of that nature. That is really crazy. 38 states reported holding a total of 1,800 inmates aged 17 or younger. 17 or younger. So at that point, and now once again, these are individuals that have been convicted of crimes and they're being charged as an adult. So I think they have to look at really the situation. Not all teenagers are bad. Not all teenagers are unruly. Things of that nature. Not all teenagers are out there going crazy. Like you, a lot of times people portray and see on TV and things like that. I'm not going to say use a product of your environment as an excuse. It's a factor, but it's definitely not an excuse. And the longer you hold on to that excuse, the longer it's going to take for you to make a change, to be a better individual and contribute to society and things of that nature. But we definitely have to make sure that we understand the dynamics behind it, because obviously there's some issues going on that people are not addressing. Locking individuals up without addressing the problem or making their environment better, you're just going to continue locking people up and over, and it's like a revolving door until you give them the tools to make them change. Now, this is another statistic that I wanted to throw out there. Sentenced prisoners under the jurisdiction of state and federal correction authorities at the end of 2011. For the U.S. total, It was 1.5 million. 1.5 million individuals. The numbers just seem to keep rising and rising, and obviously we're not giving our youth and young adults the tools to make wiser decisions. We're not giving them, and I'm not saying we're not as a whole. There are communities, there are establishment churches, nonprofit organizations that are lending a helping hand, but when does it fall on a community as a whole? Not certain sections and not certain individuals, but as a community as a whole to make that a better situation for everybody involved. Because the more people you have released from prison in your community, the higher the unemployment rate's going to be, the higher the crime rate could possibly be. Things of that nature. But if you give individuals from your community that are being released back into the community something positive to do, I can guarantee you that community is going to be a more positive community. Things of that nature. We have to definitely be mindful of what's going on around us. And at some point in time, somebody's going to have to stand up and say, hey, things got to change. Sentence male prisoners under the state or federal correctional system for the end of 2011. These are males. 1.4 million males. You want to know where all our males are at? That's where they're at. You want to know why, there's so many males missing? That's where they're at. It's crazy how they take Bibles and stuff out of the school systems, yet they have them readily available to inmates after they've already committed a crime. That's crazy to me. Had you had them in the schools when they needed it, then possibly they wouldn't be sitting in some type of secured facility. It's a way to look at it. That's Jules J's opinion, but there's got to be changes made somewhere along the line. And for female prisoners, because yes, there are a lot of female individuals are making the wrong choices and things like that. If you've never watched Snapped, I suggest you watch it. They have some people that have really just snapped and lost their mind. It's so many episodes that they have marathons every Sunday. But the U.S. total at the end of 2011 was 103,000 women that were got sentenced, not waiting to be sentenced, but actually got sentenced. So you're taking those women out of, actually not you're taking, they are taking themselves out of the homes with their kids and things like that. And I wonder what had makes, this number for women to be sentenced starting to slowly but surely increase. Is it the pressure of being from single parent households and everything is on our shoulders or their shoulders to provide for, the kids and things like that? Do they just get it to a breaking point? At what point do, they have a release that's positive, for the men that are being incarcerated? At what point do they get that release and that understanding, that comfort, and know how to make a right decision? Because that's the problem. They're not making right decisions, but why aren't they making right decisions? Do they have the tools to make the right decisions? And that's something that we need to, definitely make sure that we kind of, stay tuned to. So definitely keep those numbers in your thoughts. Definitely keep all the people that's incarcerated in your prayers. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, check me out. Jules Johnson on Facebook, trackcast.com. I'm on Twitter at JulesJ1878. I hope you learned something from the show. Hit me up. I'd love to hear from you. Stay tuned for the next one.